this is your new friend, Rachel, also known as Coco. I just thought I'd stop in today and do a story time. Pretty much what a lot of the vloggers are doing today, telling little snippets of their lives. And before we get started, I want to explain the neck brace. I recently had cervical spine surgery, and it was on April the 8th. And today I went out with my son just to hang out and buy some candle supplies, and I didn't have my neck brace on, and we were out a while, and well, by the time I got home I was hurting really bad, so I figured I'd put it back on just to give some support to my neck. And I'll do a video later on about my spine surgery and why I had to have it. And then that way you can understand why I need to wear this neck brace today. Well, my story time is actually about, as you can see the title, it says that time my mother came up to my school. Okay, and let me just give you a little backstory on this unfortunate time that my mother had to come up to my school. I was about 17 and I was in the 11th grade, and the year prior I had gone to another school, and it was just a regular high school in our city, and I went there through the 10th grade. And in the meantime, while I was in the 10th grade, my mother had found this other school that was an all-girls school, and you had to have a certain GPA to get into that school. So my mother had put me like on a wait list, and I was all in agreement because it was a good school in our city and I really wanted to go there. So I went through 10th grade at one school called Lincoln West High School in Ohio, and then in the summer after after completed 10th grade, then we got like a letter in the mail that said I was accepted to this other school called Jane Addams, and it's in Cleveland too. Now let me tell you a little bit about Jane Addams. Jane Addams, when I went to it, was a school that you had to have a certain grade point average to get into the school, and I qualified with that grade point average, and it was at the time considered a very good school. The major difference between Jane Addams and the high school that I went to when I was in the 10th grade is that Jane Addams was an all-girls high school. So I started there the year that I was a junior in 11th grade. And the prior year when I was at Lincoln West, I made a lot of friends and had a lot of fun at that school. They had parties and met a lot of kids, and was able to go to parties in my neighborhood with all these kids that I had met at Lincoln West. And then a lot of kids that I had grown up in the neighborhood with, they went to Lincoln West, so all of my friends were there. So by the time that I actually qualified to go to Jane Addams, I didn't want to go anymore because I had all these friends when I was in the 10th grade. So September rolls around and I start at Jane Addams. Okay, over the summer, my friends have been telling me that there was going to be this big party at the old school, a dance or something that I really wanted to go to. At my school, because again, we were all girls, we didn't have dances. So to go to that dance, we had to cut school. So a couple of my girlfriends that went to Jane Addams with me, the all-girls school, we had decided that we were going to cut school and we were going to catch the bus over to the west side where the old school was. Okay, so when I say that that day was the worst day of my life, and that cutting school that day was like the worst thing that I ever did, and I paid the price for cutting school that day. So let me just tell you how the day started. So we all decided to meet in downtown of Cleveland, where I grew up at, because we were all coming from different parts of the city. So we met downtown in like the square, that's what we call it in Cleveland, and then we hung out there for a little while, right until about the time that the truant officers, because when I was younger, they had truant officers. I'm 51 years old. So they would have these people that rode around during the day making sure kids were in school. So we hung around in downtown Cleveland until right about the time that the truant officers would think that we should be at school. So what happened is, I believe that we caught the bus to another neighborhood, I guess to go pick up another one of our friends. And when we got off the bus, we were walking down the street to go pick up our friend, and the truant officers rolled up on us, and were asking us, shouldn't we be in school? What schools did we go to? Blah blah blah. And we were going to get in trouble. They were going to call our parents, and all of this stuff. So I was thinking, no, they cannot call my mother. They cannot call my house. My mother was crazy. She would have killed me. So so when they were talking to a couple of the other kids, I told my friend, I said, hey, look, this is a way we can get a ride to the school that we want to go to this dance at. We can just say that we go to that school and they'll take us there. So when it came time for them to question us about what school we went to, we told them, even though we went to Jane Addams, we told them we went to Lincoln West. So so they throw us in the back of it was a little yellow van that was school bus yellow. If you know the color, the yellow of a school bus, the van that the truant officers would pick you up in was that same color. So they throw us in the back of that. They drop off other kids around the city to the schools that they said that they went to, and then they took us to Lincoln West. So because we had gone there the year before, all the security guards in the school and the people that would let you in after they locked the doors, they knew us. So when the truant officers pulled up, they were just like, do you recognize these kids? And because we had gone there the year before again, they recognized us. So they said, oh yeah, we know those are ours. So we go into the school, and then when you were late for school, they would put you in like a study hall until that next period. So they didn't check our names or anything because they just assumed that we went there. So they put us in the study hall, until the bell rang for the next class. But let me back up on the story a little bit, about my home school, Jane Addams. When I knew that I was going to be out, because I knew that this school, they didn't play with grades, and that if you miss one day of class, it was like you missed 3 days. So what I had done is I had told my teachers that I was going to be out on, I'll just say Friday, and that I needed to get my work because I didn't want to be behind, when I did come back to class. So all the teachers, they gave me the work that I would need to do that Friday when I was planning on going to this party. So now we're fast forward to the day of the party. So we go to the school, and let me back up again. I know I'm missing parts of the story. That day when the truant officers picked us up, they actually chased us down. We were running through alleyways and just all through the neighborhood, and it was just terrible. They chased us and got us, and that's how they got us. So now we're at the school, the fake school that we told them that we went to. We're at that school, and we're waiting for the period that the party was supposed to start, the dance. I don't know if you remember, well, I don't even know if they give dances in schools anymore, but like your dance would be maybe the last 3 periods of the day. So we had to wait around until the dance actually started. So the period started where the dance was. We got a chance to dance and enjoy the music and all of that. So when it came time for the end of the day, because I had gone to that school before, I knew which bus to catch that would take me back to my neighborhood. So the bus drivers kind of knew us, so we just got on the bus, and when the bus driver said something like, I don't remember you being assigned to my bus, we just said we were new and we just started the day, blah blah blah, because the bus driver was actually different. So I get home from school that day, and when I came in the house, and this is when the drama begins. When I came in the house, my mother was like, how was school today? And I was like, it was fine. And she was like, did you did you get all your homework? Because I think this was a Friday. And I was like, yeah. She was like, and school was good. And I was like, yeah, I should have known something was wrong then. So I went up to my room, put my books up and all that. And then I had to come down and do my chores or whatever. And then my mother was questioning me about the school day. And she was like, did you go to all your classes? And I was like, yeah, because I wasn't a cutter. My mother knew that I was a good student and that I didn't cut school. Should have known then something was wrong. So she kept asking me about class. And so then eventually, I kind of got quiet because I knew that something was coming up. So she said, well, your school called me today. And I was like, oh my God. And then so unbeknownst to me, because this was an all-girls school, if you were late or you didn't come in that day, even though I had told my teachers, a couple of days before that I wasn't going to be in, they still called. So what happened is they called my house and told my mother that I wasn't there that day. And evidently my mother had told them that she sent me out. She saw me get on the bus, or because I didn't catch the school bus to school. I caught the regular public transit to school. I guess she told them, well, she left at the right time, blah blah blah. Maybe I guess my mother told him something like, maybe she wasn't there to take attendance and this is a mistake because I know my daughter does not cut school, blah, blah, blah. So when my mother was asking me, she was like, your school called me. And I was like, and she said, my name is Rachel. She said, Rachel, tell me the truth. Did you go to school today? And I was like, yes, I did. I'm lying because I'm scared now. The jig is up. So my mother was like, well, I made an appointment to go to the school Monday. And she was like, and I need you to tell me now. At the time, my mother didn't drive. And to get to my school, she had to catch 3 buses to get there. Okay. She had to catch one bus downtown and then another bus to connect her someplace else. And then another bus to get her all the way to my school. So even though I wanted to tell her the truth, I was terrified because my mother did not play when it came to school. So I was like, no, I went to school. I was there. I promise you I was there. Now, this was Friday. So Saturday when I woke up and I was, doing my little chores around the house, my mother was like, Rachel, I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to give you a chance to tell me the truth. So I'm still lying. No, I went to school. I promise, I don't cut, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, now thinking back, I don't know what I thought would happen, how I could lie my way out of this when she actually came to school Monday. So Sunday rolls around. She asked me again. She was ironing her clothes to get ready to catch the bus with me in the morning to go to my school. So she asked me again. She said, I'm going to ask you one last time. Tomorrow's the day that I go up to that school. And then how your mother puts that look on her face and she says, if, and I'm going to do like my mother did, if I go up to this school and those people tell me that you were not there, and then she just let it hang in the air. I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, now's the time to tell her. Oh my God, I need to tell this lady that I did not go to school, but I couldn't do it. Okay. So we catching the bus. I'll say Monday morning comes. My mother gets up. I'm thinking, oh God, I wish she would just get sick today and she can't go and I can make it back to the school and try to bribe the teachers into saying, give me detention, give me anything. Just please don't tell my mother. So we get on the bus, do the whole drill of the 3 buses. I'm walking up to the school with my mother, heart pounding. Boom, boom, boom. Oh my God, this lady is going to flip out. We get there and I thought it was going to be a meeting with like a guidance counselor and maybe the assistant principal or something. No. They told us to sit down and wait and that the assistant principal and the guidance counselor would be with us in a minute. And so then once it was time, they called us they took us into this like little conference room. And when I went in there, all my teachers were there. Now, they like sat at a table, and then I think the when my mother came there, I think that when we got there it was before the first period, but by the time the meeting was over, first period had you know, come and gone. So we get in the class, get in the conference room, and my mother says, you know, I'm here today because you said that my daughter didn't come in Friday, and that we're trying to hash this out whether she was here. So the teachers told my mother, they said, well, no, she was out Friday. As a matter of fact, she asked us to get her work ahead of time. She wasn't here. So my mother turned to me and she was like, Rachel, were you at school Friday? And I was like, no. And so my mother, I wouldn't look at her. Like, she was sitting on the left hand side of me and I wouldn't turn my head. So I kind of like turned this way and I was like, no, I wasn't here. So one of my teachers, it was a male teacher. It was a white guy. I can't think of his name. I almost had it. I can't think of his Mr. DeRay. And he was trying to make the best of the situation. He was like, well, at least she was, it's obvious now that little Miss Pugh, my last name is Pugh, has cut class today. That day she cut class that day. But at least she had the foresight to ask for her work so she didn't fall behind. And so I was sitting there like, oh my God, what is she thinking? Now, I'm the oldest of four. I'm the oldest. My next sibling is a year younger than me, and then the next sibling is 3 years younger than me, and then the next sibling is 8 years younger than me. So I was this good kid that, always went to school, always got good grades. So I knew for my mother this was like really bad. So they sat there and they hashed out what my punishment would be in school. I think I had like after school detention and something else. I don't remember. So as I was sitting there, my mother was real quiet and I was scared to look at her, so I couldn't see what expression was on her face. I knew it wasn't good. I just knew it. So I guess that about that time the principal looked at his watch and he said, well, we're going to wrap this up. And we'll deal with Rachel here in school, and I'm pretty sure you will deal with her at home. So my mother, when they all pushed their chairs in to get up, my mother was still sitting there. And so my mother, she slowly got up out the chair. All the time I'm not looking at her. She slowly got up out the chair. I'm only hearing what's going on. She pushed her chair in, and I was sitting here thinking, well, okay, that went well. At least I'm not going home with her right now. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, once I get home. So I'm like looking out the corner of my eye because I'm expecting her to leave. And then she was like reaching down in her purse, and I thought, well, it's okay, she's looking for her wallet to get her change out to catch the bus home. No. My mother pulled a belt out of her purse. Now, mind you, I was in 11th grade, a junior in high school. She pulled a belt out of her purse, and I just heard chuckles, and I heard one of the teachers say, ma'am, do you need a moment in the room with your daughter? And then my mother was like, I'm going to need more than a moment. Lord, child, I was thinking to myself, this is not going to happen in school. I'll get a butt whooping, but we're not doing it here in school. So when the teachers were filing out, it's about, because when you're in high school, you got like 6 teachers, one teacher you might stay with for 2 periods. So I had 6 teachers, the counselor and the principal. So when they were leaving out, I tried to squeeze in between them and leave out with them. So my mother was like, no, hold on. That's when she came to life. And she was like, all the work I've been doing, and you gonna cut school, the school clothes and school supplies, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh my God. Right at that point, the bell rang. I guess to change classes or first period. It was so traumatic. I don't know if it was first period, second period, or whatever. So the bell rings. No, the bell didn't ring yet. Okay, so about that time, I'm trying to squeeze out between the teachers. I get in the hall. My mother is yelling and screaming. at school in the hallway. Right in the middle of my mother yelling and basically cussing me out and telling me what all she about to do to me, the bell rings. So I think, okay, I'm gonna take off running. I don't know where I'm running to, if I'm running out the building, if I'm running to another floor, but I'm gonna take off running. When I tell you that my mother told the principal to hold her purse and she took off running to chase me. Now, at the time, I was about 17 and my mother was in her late 30s, probably. Yeah, in her late 30s. So she was still a young woman. So she took off running with me. Right as we started to run, I guess the bell had rang and the kids were pulling out of the classrooms. Now, they didn't even need to know what went on. They saw what looked like a parent with a belt chasing one of their classmates down the hall. When I tell you these kids were like in the middle hall, like, you want us to catch her? You want us to catch her? So my mother was like, yeah, catch the bitch. And I was like, oh my God, just kill me now. Take me now, Lord. Just hit me now. As Fred Sanford would say, I'm coming to join you. With my mother on my ass with a belt. So my mother chasing me down the hall. The kids blocked my way. My mother catches me, slammed me all up against the lockers. Now, this was back during the time when, you could beat your kids in school, and, it was a good thing. Teachers was laughing and all that stuff. So my mother catches me. She slams me all up against the lockers. And I'm not even tall. I'm not even 5 feet tall. I'm barely scraping 5 feet. So it was easy for my mother to manhandle me. So she grabbed my arm. You know how your parent grabbed your arm and like try to whoop you with the other one. Now, mind you, keep in mind, the bell just rang. All these kids are in the hallway. Like the hallway, they are rolling, cracking up. So by that time, the teacher that I told you that kind of tried to take up for me in there, he makes it down. He was like, calm down, Miss Pugh. You just go on home. It's going to be okay. I was like, oh my God. So after that, I ran in the bathroom and I stayed in there for a little while. And I was crying and all, just embarrassed and mortified. And I was like, I had told them that I wanted to transfer. Like, they sent in a female secretary or something because the assistant principal was a guy. So they sent her in to get me. And I was like, no, I just want to go home. Suspend me now. Let me just have some time at home. I don't want to go to class. So they were like, no, come to the office. We're going to give you a pass to go to class. And I was in such... what can I say, like a state of shock. I don't even remember what period it was. When they asked me what class, they told me the time and asked me what class should I be in. I was like, I don't know, Jesus, I don't know. And so they were like, they had to pull out my schedule and they realized that I was in this one class. I think it was my accounting class. Now, the accounting teacher was a woman, a black woman. So when and we didn't like her. She was one of those teachers that you didn't like. So after I came out the bathroom and got myself all cleaned up and I went to her class, I remember my best friend sat beside me in class. So when I got there, after the teacher had gone to the board or whatever, she like reached over. You know how you look over and you're like, you okay? Because she could tell I've been crying, and probably she had heard that my mother just chased me through the school and beat me with a belt downstairs. So I was like, I'll tell you later, like when we go to lunch. So right in the middle of us talking, that teacher turned around and was like, Miss Pugh, are you talking? Because your mother already told us. And then like she paused, that if we had any problems with your black, that to call her. So she didn't say black ass, but that's pretty much what my mother told her. So I was like, no, okay. So then, I hated that teacher. Right then and there, I was thinking to myself, I hate her. And so my friend was like looking at me all with sad eyes, like, oh my God. So it is true. Your mother did come up here and beat you. So, I went to a couple of more classes, and then finally I made it to the class of the teacher that tried to defend me. So by that time, it was after lunch. I had to go to the lunchroom, and I had been teased all in lunch. So by the time the afternoon, his class got there, it was like everything, every joke that could have been told that day, people imitating my mother beating me in class. So by the time I got to his class, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to look at anybody. I just wanted the floor to open up and just, as I say, Lord, take me now. And so when I got to his class, I was sitting in the class just feeling so sorry for myself. And I remember we could eat in class. And I remember I was eating, I had put a peppermint in my mouth, and I was just sitting there feeling sorry for myself. And I was in my head like, oh my God, what is she going to do when I get home? You know how you're just thinking about it because now the truth is out. So I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in the class. And right at that time, that teacher called on me. So when he called on me, I like sat up and I inhaled the peppermint and went down my throat, and I was choking. And so then he was like, he was standing there, he was waiting for me to answer, and he was like, are you okay? And I was like, no. And he could tell I was choking. So he had to come over, give me the Heimlich maneuver. All of this on the day that my mother came up to the school to beat my ass. So he gave me the Heimlich maneuver, and again, I just wanted to die. I was thinking to myself, can this day get any worse? So I make it through the rest of the day, catch my 3 buses home. On each bus, I was thinking about, okay, what is going to happen when I get home? This lady has caught 6 buses today. She had to get up and be at the school at 7:30 or in the morning. Oh my God, what is going to happen? Now again, I was a good kid, and I thought, all through school I got good grades and everything, and I thought that would carry some weight. I thought my mother would say something like, well, Rachel has never been in trouble, she deserves some punishment, but it's not going to be as bad as, it wasn't. I thought it wasn't going to be bad. So I get home, and we had a gate around our house, a metal gate. So when and it was one of those gates that you had to lift the thing and turn it, and it made this clanking noise. It went down, and then you shut the gate, you lift it. It was kind of like a lock on the door. So when we were in the house and people would come over our house, we would know we had a visitor because we would hear that gate. So I guess my mother heard it and prepared for what was going to happen when I opened up the door. So I put my key in the door, I come in, and I look over, and my brothers are sitting on the couch. And the TV was down low. And normally when we came home from school, we watched television, did our chores, whatever. So my brother if I was 17, my one brother was 16, and my other brother was 13. So I noticed that they were looking at me like, and I was like, what? Where is she at? And then my one brother was like telling me, close the door. So when I tell you I closed the door, and my mother attacked me from the back, like she jumped on my back, and I, because she was bigger than me, I fell to the floor. She reached back, got her belt, whooped me all right there at the door. And my brother was like, close the door so the neighbors don't hear, because he didn't want the neighbors to hear. Oh my God, when I think about this now, it's so hilarious. So she beat me all by the front door. I didn't even get a chance to hang my book back up. She beat me all at the door. Then she gonna, how your mother done beat you till she can't breathe anymore. So, look, oh, Jesus. She breathing all crazy. Oh, Lord. And I'm laying on the floor crying. She was like, get your ass up and go get me some water. And I'm thinking, lady, you done damn near beat me to death. Now you want me to go get some water. So I go get her some water. She all on the stairs breathing, being dramatic. And she says, drink her water. Get herself stabilized. You know how mothers can be dramatic. And then she was like, go sit at the dining room table. I was like, oh my God. Okay, I just can't take anything else. If you want to kill me, just kill me. Let's let this day be over. Why are you torturing me like this? So I go sit at the table, and she sit down at the table, and she just sit there for a minute. And she was like, and then all of a sudden, her shoulders start shaking, and she started crying. And I was like, and after everything that happened that day, her chasing me through the school, her beating me at the door, beating me when I came in the door, to see her cry was more hurtful than anything. And then what she said, she was like, Rachelle, she said, everything I do, everything that we do are for you kids. And she said, you're the oldest and you're an example to your younger siblings. And she was like, what you did today or what you did Friday really hurt me. She said, and then I'm just going to say it like she said, she looked at me and she said, I am so disappointed in you. And then she just broke down crying again. And I mean, like, really crying. And that made me feel so bad to hurt my mother. It wasn't so much that, I cut school, she found out, but to know that me cutting school hurt her like that. I mean, I could have, or I wanted God to just take me because I was embarrassed at school. At that point, I wanted to make it up to her, like to show her that all this confidence that you put in me and all this, this trust that you put in me, and I'm worthy of that. So she told me, she was like, after she stopped crying and everything, she was like, well, you did wrong. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, so here's your punishment. Now, when I cut school, it was like probably late September, right when school started, or early October. My mother told me that I was on a punishment until after we came back from Christmas break, which is in January. Okay, so the punishment was, when I get out of school, I had to come straight home. I couldn't talk on the phone. I couldn't hang out with my friends. I couldn't go to any parties. I couldn't do anything. I just had to be in my room all the time. Now, when I was younger, being in your room was not where you had a phone or a computer or a tablet or any of that. When she said in your room, you were in your room just looking at four walls. Luckily, in my bedroom, I had a balcony on the back of my bedroom. So even though technically I couldn't go outside, her room was an addition. So when I went out on my balcony, she couldn't hear me walking out on it because her room stuck out from the house. So it wasn't technically part of the house. So I would just go back there and sit on my, close my door and lock my door in my bedroom. And I would sit on the back the balcony on my bedroom. And when I tell you that when she said, you're grounded, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other, I would come home from school. Even if I tried to talk to my siblings like it would be my night to wash dishes. Remember when you were younger and you had other siblings, and my mother would have a calendar and it was me and my two brothers, and Monday would be Rachelle, Sam, Kevin, Rachelle, Sam, Kevin. Even on my nights that it was, it was my night to do the dishes, and I would be in the kitchen like maybe talking to my siblings, my mother would come in the kitchen like, didn't I tell you that you were grounded? And I remember one day I was like, I can't even talk to people. No, I didn't say this to her because, back then we didn't talk back to our mother. But that's what I was thinking. And she was like, get your ass upstairs. She said, you had enough entertainment that day that you decided to cut school. So I was like, oh my God. In this video, what I'll say is those 2 market periods, I had straight A's. I mean, I made the honor roll. Not that I hadn't made it in before, but it was consistent. And from just my mother crying that, like when she sat at that table and she started crying, it just broke my heart. And I wanted to show her that I was worthy of her, of her trust. And from that point on, even though I wasn't a bad kid up to then, I was a better kid after that. First of all, my mother came to school, whooped my ass, and then I came home and she beat my ass again, put me on the punishment for like 3 months. I mean, I grounded. Now, what was funny is all the people that cut with me that day, when I told them what happened, my girls, they were laughing at me and was like, oh my God, you can't go out Friday? You can't hang out with us right now? I was like, no, I'm grounded. My mother ain't playing. And I remember when I graduated from school. Now, this is when this story is never ending. So you know how you're waiting for them to call your name, and because our school was so small, like when it was your turn to walk across the stage to get your diploma, they would play scenes of different things that you were in when you were in the school. Like I was in the drill team, and we didn't have any teams, so you couldn't be a cheerleader, but I was involved in a lot of school activities because once I actually got in, stayed at the school, I ended up liking it and got involved in a lot of, extracurricular things at school. So when I was walking across the stage, they were showing all this in the background. And I remember our assistant principal, he like kind of scooted up to the mic and he was like, does anyone remember when Rachel Pugh's mother came up to the school? And then the whole audience like just broke out laughing. So, I was walking across the stage and I almost fell off the stage because I'm thinking, oh my God, when is this going to end? Are they going to say, bring this stuff up when I graduate from college? Or is it going to be some child that went to Jane Addams with me that remembered when my mother came up to the school and whooped my ass? So I have told this story to my children. They think it's funny. Friends. And to this day, that happened when I was 17 years old. And to this day, if I run into anyone that I went to Jane Addams High School with, we'll be reminiscing, talking about what happened, and inevitably they'll bring up, but I remember when your mother came up to the school that day and whooped your ass, because my mother was not playing. And then after that, oh my God, I never messed with her. So that is my story time. It's the day that my mother came up to the school with her belt and whooped my ass. Thanks for watching, and if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day, YouTube. Bye-bye.